What is going on, guys? I hope you enjoyed our long and lengthy off-season of golf we just had. This is the Bogey-Free Podcast with your host, Evan Chaney, joined today by my normal co-host, Matt Jones, and also a guest. We have our friend of the show, DFS Jimmie. How you doing today, Jimmie?
What's up, guys? Thrilled to be here, and it was a brutal off week, just one whole week for the off season. It was tough. I was twitching a little bit, so I'm glad we can get our golf betting fix back in this week. So I'm fired up to kind of get into it and lose some money.
There you go.
Here's my question. It's actually answered too. Do these guys golf in the off season?
I'm sure they do. I saw Kelly Craft out there golfing. So some of them do.
Exactly. Will Wilcox did. Will Wilcox, I think he was hitting some balls on the water.
Shocker.
I didn't see that. I actually threw a little sprinkle on him to win the web.com just out of nowhere.
There you go.
It didn't happen.
I think he will win the web.com tour.
Of course. Yeah, in 2022 he'll win. He'll finally get his game around.
He'll just be so experienced on the web tour. It's like it's like one of those guys who just like becomes the champion of AAA baseball.
Can you run out of eligibility on the web.com tour? Is it like the NCAA?
That's a good question.
Yeah, someone's got to look that up at some point.
Oh man, yeah, this is going to be an interesting week, man. These salaries came out. It's Tuesday night. Salaries came out like a couple hours ago. Just trying to get my head on straight at this point. Honestly, it's a weird week when we have Tony Finau and Webb Simpson above 11K. So we got to make heads or tails of this.
Let's discuss this pricing first, because I know we're going to go on a tangent before I even press the record button on all this stuff. But yeah, I mean, Finau at 11.5, Webb Simpson 11.2. Like, what the hell?
Well, I think it just speaks to the fact that this is a web.com field with several PGA Tour golfers in it, and we're gonna try and apply some well-reasoned logic to selecting golfers in a highly variant sport, and I am virtually certain that it's going to blow up in almost everybody's face this week. I mean, it's Luke-less chalk week. Luke-less chalk week never works. It never works.
No. Do we have
I don't know why we should expect it to work this week.
We have the data, because I know it's true, but I want to know his DraftKings points per contest.
No, I want to plot his ownership versus his DK points from this past season. It's not a good correlation.
It's a positive. It's a plus correlation, but it's perfectly negative. So it's like it's perfectly inverse with one another. It's great.
All right, so it's Luke-less fade week. There you go. All right, we're out. It's been real, guys. Good show. Guys. See you later.
Oh man, but yeah, we do have some legitimate golf to talk about this week. And I guess we'll start with our 10K and up guys.
Well, real quick before we do that, can we just quickly discuss, DraftKings has to figure out a way to get these match plays scored. It would be so fun to be able to watch that and have some DraftKings action somehow. I have no idea how it would work. I have no even suggestions on a reasonable way to do it. But that would have been super fun, just all Team USA last week and just printing money.
Go ahead.
I guess I don't know how they could pull it off. I tend to use these weeks for betting pools and your local buddies getting together and stuff like that. Usually fills the void and scratches that gambler itch for a week. But I got to be honest, man, the President's Cup was boring as shit. It was boring as shit. I mean, we all knew what the outcome was going to be from the get-go. I'm not entirely sure. They replayed it yesterday, and I'm sure that there was -6 people watching the President's Cup on replay. It was just, they had, for every 4 golf shots they showed, they played 8 commercials. And it was just,
it was brutal.
It was just
terrible.
It was just a bad product. And I think that's it's hard to get up for the President's Cup when, one in the last 12 times the international teams won it. And I don't know. It's just, I'm not a fan. I'm not trying to take anything away from the guys and what they do and all that, but I'm just not a fan of the product that the PGA Tour like put out from a television perspective, and it was not captivating, and it did not get watched, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, at one point there were like 4 groups on the course, and they weren't even showing every shot. It's like, what are you doing? Honestly, like I can figure that out.
Yeah, they did that fancy like playthrough commercial deal where they like split screen it for you, and it's like I saw that twice. It's like, why aren't you doing that the whole time? You should be showing every single golf shot, the whole 9 yards, and then people'd watch it. I think, but it was just, I don't know.
And they kept
showing
showing
salty on the President's Cup.
They kept showing people like retrying their putts again. You know what I mean? Like after they missed a putt or whatever, I'm like, go to somebody else. There's other people golfing like for real that will actually count right now. Like go somewhere else. Sorry, I just had to get that out of my system. So I feel much better now.
Yeah, but about DFS match play, I mean, at this point, we have to get DraftKings to understand like the mainstream sports, because they seem to be a little out of touch with what we want there.
DraftKings is steadily. I've got plenty to go off on DraftKings about. This is it's getting kind of bad. So the golf is the second largest sport. I shouldn't say it's the largest because it may not make up the largest revenue dollars, but it's growing the fastest of any of the DFS sports, and it will be second behind the NFL. DraftKings is just steady screwing the pooch on the prize pools, on getting their pricing out. There's no reason they need to rely on a book. I mean, if a whole bunch of people sitting around in rooms just like the one you're watching me sit in can generate odds and pricing that's accurate on a week-to-week basis, there's no fucking reason that a multi-million-dollar corporation can't get their own odds and pricing out and meet the market demand. It's sort of crazy. And then the NFL, they haven't released the afternoon slates for the coming Sunday because they dicked around and took off the Sunday slate last week, and they're not thrilled about how it worked out. So they want to make sure that people put all their money in there first before they release the afternoon slates for NFL.
Yeah.
It's like,
it's
there's a reason.
But at least we can eat pizza.
Fill the afternoon slates. I don't get it.
Yeah, it's tough. I said this to Jimmie when I was asking him to come on the show. I was like, I was so pissed off about Sunday Night Football, and then I ended up making like a decent amount of money this past Sunday at NFL.
It was actually my best week of the season.
I was like, this is great. I was like, good for DraftKings. This is perfect. I love it.
Yeah, but guess what happens? Nobody's got money on the night game, so you don't watch it.
Exactly.
The NFL might come knocking on the door there, but football is great and all, but of course we're all gathered here today to talk about this golf slate for the Safeway Open. And yeah, we have some interesting golf going on there. So let's talk about the course first before we get into any of these golfers specifically. So Jimmie, let's discuss the course. What plays well here, and talk about stats that people might want to look at.
Yeah, so if you follow me on Twitter at DFS Jimmie, every week I tweet out what I call an ATK card, an attack card. It's basically just a breakdown of the course and the scoring. It's all color coded relative to par, birdie, bogey percent. I do a few other things too, and I break out percents of points scored on par fives, par fours, the lengths, things like that. So this week, par five scoring is crucial. They're all reachable, and we're going to be hunting for eagles, things like that. It's a birdie fest. It's a birdie fest every year. It's been played, and it seems like the golfers get progressively better at this course the last 3 years. The first year it was played, I think it was 15 under, cut of -1. The next year was 15 under, a winner again, cut of -2. And then last year was a 18 under with a cut of -3, I believe. So, you're going to have to make birdies around here, which means you're also going to have to avoid bogeys, which is something I don't hear anybody talking about this week. So if you have your models or you haven't built them yet, sprinkle a little bit of bogey avoidance in. It's tough to finish highly and keep pace with the rest of the field if you're not if you're given strokes away, making bogeys, things like that. But it's a birdie fest this week. Your yardages are going to be 150 to 175 and 200 plus. So you're going to have plenty of scoring clubs in your hands, but you're going to need some key long irons into the par fives, and specifically the par threes. They're the hardest group of holes this week, and they're all right at that like 185 to 210, 220-ish. So guys aren't going to be scoring there, but you can definitely bleed some strokes back to the field. So that's where the 200 plus comes in. I think that's why Kevin Na has been so good here over the years. Is he's really, really, really good with his long irons. But I mean, it's a scoring fest, and hitting the fairways here is a bit difficult at Silverado. So I mean, you could look at good drives gained, things like that. I'm not really weighing it too much. I'm just focused on strokes gained approach. Guys can put it in the fairway here. It's a less than driver course, so missing wildly off the tee is not really an issue as far as I see it. And guys are just going to need to be aggressive into the greens. And since you have so much undulation in these greens, the closer you are, the better off you're going to be. If you check out Rob Bolton, he put out a little key stats for the last 5 years for the winners, or last 3 years, I'm sorry, for the 3 winners, and proximity to the hole comes up pretty highly there. So, the guys that are going to be making putts are the ones that are pretty close to the hole.
Matt, anything to add on that one?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm fully on board with all that. I think just going through and looking, sort of piggybacking off of the whole idea of avoiding bogeys, obviously scrambling has a little bit more importance anytime that there's, the scores are going to get lower, because just anytime you can save a par when you miss screens is going to be a benefit to you. So that's something it's not something that you're going to like overweight in any model that you're building or anything, but sort of something to pay attention to as well. But yeah, I'm fully on board with everything Jimmie just said.
Yeah, for what it's worth, the model I built in Fantasy National Golf, which is an amazing tool, by the way. If you don't subscribe to that already, do that. But yeah, I use strokes gained, tee to green approach, putting. I did birdie or better gain, bogey avoidance, and then GUR. That's what I thought.
GUR.
Yeah, GUR. No, but like those are the 6 stats I thought had looking back at past tournaments, had the highest correlation with DK success, like DK point success. So that's kind of what I'm weighing in that model. And there's some interesting names that pop up.
Run through your top. What comes up in your top 5 for that model?
The top 5? It's some interesting names. So we have, what's his face? We have Jason Bone. So we have
Really?
Boone?
How many rounds are you using?
Yeah, he's number 1. Because he comes out top 5 in approach, putting, gained, avoidance, and GUR, which is interesting. You have Keegan Bradley, number 2.
Ugh.
So, yeah, that's...
Never Keegan.
Yeah, but he's... Yeah. Ryan Moore is 3. Garrigus is 4. And Mahan is 5. Mickelson is 6, for what it's worth.
Nice.
So, I don't know...
Garrigus goat, huh?
I will say that my model is drastically different. Just for what it's worth. Like when we get into it, my model will be like the people are drastically different, which is good. I think we'll have some good conversation here. Yeah. Talk me into some guys I'm not on.
Yeah. We'll have that conversation there. So yeah, let's just talk about our top price guys first. We'll go 10K and up first. We have Finau, Webb Simpson, Mickelson, Zach Johnson, all in this range. Matt, I'll go to you first. I don't feel like I've heard from you too much so far tonight. So yeah, who are you liking in this 10K range?
I mean, you know the brand play. It's always Finau. Like, I don't know. I'm a big fan of him, obviously. I gush over him and Rahm every week that either of them are in the field. And I think Finau finished the year off well. He had a couple of top 10s to sort of wrap up his season. Even though he sort of came into those last couple of events in like pretty bad form. I mean, since the Canadian Open, he really played pretty poorly for a few weeks there. So I'm good with Finau. I mean, this is sort of, I don't know, maybe Jimmie can guide me here, because I'm having a hard time feeling terribly good about sort of, I mean, literally anybody this week, but especially up here, especially up here, I'm like, how do I click on these guys? Like, it just feels gross. Like, I'm not paying for Zach Johnson at 10-5. I don't care who else is in the field. It doesn't matter. And maybe that's just my bias and it's going to burn me this week, but I don't really see that. I'd really much rather get some heavy exposure to Finau, sprinkle in some Simpson and Mickelson, and sort of just ignore that Zach Johnson is even like a person, even though it's probably a good game theory play because he'll probably be the lowest owned out of these four, I'd imagine. But Jimmie, where are you leaning up here in this range?
I'm with you on Zach Johnson, and I'm kind of a Zach Johnson truther, and I think that he's going to have a bounce back season this year. But the problem on DraftKings is he just doesn't score. He doesn't make enough birdies. Like, he's really efficient, so he just doesn't like, make a bogey and then make a birdie and then pad your stats and pad your points like you really need him to at 10,500. So I mean, unless he's top 5 in this tournament, you're really going to struggle to meet value there. And I mean, if it's a GPP play, I mean, I guess I can understand it because you're right. He's going to be the lowest owned up there. But again, I find it really hard to pull the trigger on him. If Zach Johnson was 8,100 or 7,700, I'd feel much differently about it in a, non-birdie fest tournament. But like I said, all that said, I think I like Zach Johnson this year to kind of bounce back and we'll get him in a good spot, but I don't think this is it. I'm there on Finau just from a pure birdie perspective. I mean, the guy's going to have probably more eagle opportunities than anybody but Luke List this week. And, maybe Schneider Jans, a couple other the bombers that are going to be, getting to these par fives easily. So from that perspective, I like Finau, and I think you can pay for him if you want him. His POA versus, bent splits and whatever, if you get into that, you can find a reason to fade him if you want. But I think you can actually just drop all the way down to Kevin Na and just be fine. Just not worry about it. Just go to Kevin Na and just fade the top half and be okay. If you look at the winners of this golf tournament, none of them are short odds guys. I mean, there's so much variance in the beginning of the season, and this is it's a garbage tournament, garbage field, with, all due respect to the guys playing, but, comparative to the rest of the season, this is, this is bottom of the barrel stuff. So, Brendan Steele last year was, he was on his way up to being a tier above player as he had a breakout year last year, kind of a banner year. But you look at Griot, first win after winning the web.com, Sang Moon Bae, right? I mean, these are not, world-class elite players that win this tournament. And you look at the leaderboards surrounding them, and it's the same thing. There's a lot of opportunity for the whole top end of this board to just not show up here. So, I mean, really, if you're scared about, paying for the guys up top and you want to go balance, I don't think it's an awful strategy this week because there's a lot of talented newcomers that, they have every opportunity to show up and meet value on an easy scoring golf course.
Okay. That makes sense there. I mean, as far as the top guys are concerned, my favorites are going to be Mickelson and Johnson. I agree with you there. Like, Johnson is definitely going to be a guy who might bounce back this season. And he's top 10 in like 4 of the 6 stats I'm looking at. So, yeah, he's not a terrible guy there. Anyone else you guys want to talk about in that?
Is Phil hungover? I mean, did you guys watch the press conference from the President's Cup? Like, everybody was toasty, right?
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So do we think that a 47-year-old arthritis commercial dude is going to show up this week or no? Because I think Phil makes a good play up there just because he birdies so much. And he showed up after the Ryder Cup last year, and he knocked out in 8th place.
Right.
Uh-huh.
But they weren't all hammered drunk at the press conference of the Ryder Cup last year either.
It's all these damn young kids influencing Phil the wrong way,
Yeah, well, I mean,
gotta keep him on the straight and narrow.
So I'm just wondering if he's going to be a little bit burnt out, because I do kind of like Phil up there, but like, I'm not playing Bill Haas for $9,900. Ryan Moore, sure, but like, if you're playing cash,
I'm in love with Ryan Moore this week.
Yeah, but if you're playing cash, like that, you need to lock 3 people into your lineups. It's Nas, Steele, and Reavie, and then just figure it out from there. And that's my opinion, anyway.
Yeah, I mean, with Phil, I definitely see what you're saying. I think in my head, like, I want to say, if he even had to like grind anything out and he had to like actually compete over the last couple of days, I think it would definitely be a conversation.
Fair point.
But I mean, I feel like Phil parties like every week anyway. So like, what's the difference? You know, like he's out there gambling.
See him partying? Like,
oh, dude, oh my God, Mickelson, he gets lit all the time. You know that he just sits on his private jet, whatever the hell else, and is just pounding drinks all the time. I would love to party with Phil.
I'm curious.
Expensive shit.
Yeah, just anything expensive.
That's like, a good way to put it.
No. Yeah,
nothing.
I don't even know what it is because I probably can't afford it.
Yeah, I mean, he's not playing slapbag with Franzia, I'd imagine.
I saw that tweet.
Oh, man.
What is that?
No, that was great.
Franzia is the woat.
That's awesome.
It is.
It's so good. Oh, man. All right.
Anyway.
Well, I guess the last guy up there is Webb. Are we worried about Webb's course history at all? Because, I mean, he's been hot fire with scoring lately, and his course history has me a little worried. He shows up pretty well for me, but I worry a little bit about his course history because he's missed 2 straight cuts here.
No, I get the concern, but I think the course fit is just so good.
I agree.
That's the thing. Like, you could say whatever you want about the course history, but the fact that he does so well in these exact course conditions, I think that I think his past performances might be the exception, not the rule.
Yeah, and I think that part of it could just be, where, if this tournament was in July, does he have the same course? You know what I mean? Like, if it's in the middle of the season and he's not like just gone through a full season, I don't know. I think he's still a reasonable play. I think his fit is good enough to overcome just a couple of bad, basically 4 bad rounds. I'm okay with him. That's not scaring me off too much just because it's such a small sample. Yeah.
Okay, so that covers the top guys there. We'll go 9,500 down because I think we talked about Haas and more to an extent. So yeah, 9,500 down to 9K, where we have Bradley, Glover, Steele. You guys in love with these guys at all, or? I mean, how do you feel?
I think for cash games, you need to lock in Steele, and then then one other guy, Reevy, down there. But for cash games, it's hard to argue with the performance of and Steele here over the last 2 to 3 years, and the course fit, just everything. Na's in good form. Just I don't know how you avoid them, and I don't know how you don't play or Steele and decide that Keegan Bradley or Lucas Glover are better.
Never Bradley.
No, I mean, I don't know.
Have I mentioned that?
No, I definitely have Glover over Steele and GPP. Because in GPP, I think Glover is more upside.
Yeah, but he missed a 1-foot putt.
That was one time.
The 1 foot.
Well, I guess you have a point, because if his ball striking's on and he's got good proximity, the putter's not as big of a concern on these undulating greens. So I mean, I can definitely see the game theory play for that, but I
agree with you.
I'm finding it pretty hard to talk myself out of it.
Yeah, I agree with you in the cash game perspective. I'm just saying, if you're going to play a tournament and you're looking at that price range and you see, Steele's going to be higher owned, I mean, I'm not going to fight you if you say, okay, I'm going to pay the extra 100 for Glover. Right. It's kind of where I'm thinking there.
Jimmie, you have to understand that, you can't see it in the background, but there's a poster somewhere in Evan's room of Lucas Glover. So you just have to understand that, this is a real, fan club,
it's right next to
my sort of situation going on. He is in love with Glover every single week.
Well, you know what's interesting about these 4 guys, right? So that's actually real quick, Eric. Did you shed a tear when he fell and twisted his knee and everything, and we thought that he might have torn his ACL on a golf shot?
No, I was worried. I was worried for a bit. I was worried, but then I got the reassurance that he was fine.
He sent him a letter, I think. Yeah,
it came with the Will Wilcox signed ball.
Well, actually, you know what? Now that I'm looking at all 4 of these guys here, so you've got Bradley, Glover, and Steele, and for all intents and purposes, from their types of games, they're all like identical guys. They all have great long irons, good ball strikers, keep it in play, and then none of them can putt worth a shit.
Which, I mean, it sucks for all of them because that's pretty important. But,
well, no, but what I think it lends credit to your point, though, that there's no reason that Nah and Steele should be 3 times as owned, and in GPPs, the other two they make the better pivot, and I don't really have a great argument against your point anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's I think it's one of those things where if you're just relying and saying, all right, these guys can't putt and you're just fading them, I think it's a mistake. I think at least 2 of these guys putt above average this week and figure it out and, end up winning somebody a little bit of money this week. So, I mean, I don't have any problem with any of them in a GPP. I fully agree with you that I feel like Nah would be my cash lot. Like if I had to pick one out of these 4, I would go with Nah over everybody else in this range. But, it's just in this field, in this type of week, like in a GPP, I'm not gonna argue with you about any of these guys. As we go down, there's some guys that I'll definitely argue against, but in this range, we're not at that level yet. So, I guess we got to talk about some of these cheaper guys as we keep going.
Yeah, unfortunately, some of these names just get terrible.
Oh yeah,
when you go down deeper. I don't know, guys. Anything we have
a couple of goats coming up, though.
That's true. That's very true. Any other love for these 9K guys, or can we move on?
No, we're good.
All right. So, let's go to our 8K guys. So, from 8K to 8,900, I'll start off the conversation by saying Chez Riavi.
Oh, yeah.
My dude.
Oh, yeah.
My dude.
He even tweeted out this week, if I'm not on your radar this week, you're doing it wrong. That dude.
Wait, was he calling us out, like the DFS community?
Maybe. He didn't direct it at anybody, but his tweet said, if I'm not on your radar this week, you're not doing it wrong, or something to that effect. But he likes
that acknowledges always do better.
He likes his chances going into this week. So you got to like a guy that feels confident. And I'm in on Reavy.
Yeah. No, I mean, he's got, for all the filters in the model here, he's got a 45 round sample with, these similar course conditions. He's 16th, but he ranks high in pretty much everything except he does have some issues with birdies. His birdie or better percentage isn't great, but still, other than that, he's great at not bogeying.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Great bird percentage.
I've always put together a model on Fantasy National with like weighting all of the different, hole distances for their efficiency at each distance. And he's 13th in my model this week for that, like specifically, like just taking into account each distance hole. I'm fully on board with that. I think you can build a pretty reasonable balanced lineup with a couple of these guys in the 8K range. So I'm good with that. I think Uline is coming in super hot right now.
He's such a solid play this week.
He's been great, and I'm actually a little shocked. I mean, I'm pulling up FanShare now. Reavy has over twice as many tags as Uline. So if he's going to see that much more ownership, then I'm just locking
was that another
in.
name I Was that another name I mispronounced?
Oh yeah, but it's
not up with.
It doesn't even faze me. I love when you church up Chez's name, so it's fine. Riavi.
I want to.
I like it. I'm not mad at it. I think you should tell him to start pronouncing it that way.
It's not as bad as what. Uthus.
Yeah, so you can't even fucking say it right now.
No. It's like Louis. I know now it's Ustays, and like I made that mistake. I moved on with my life. But,
there's been like 6 different pronunciations of that name.
That's the brand. Mispronunciation is the brand.
That's fine with me. Jimmie? What are your thoughts on Lovemark this week?
I like him. He's been really consistent over the last year coming in. I'm not a huge Lovemark guy like Truther, but it's hard to ignore the added level of consistency from last year. If he carries any of that into this tournament, I think you're looking at a comfortably made cut with a lot of upside. I think Jamie Lovemark's always going to find a way to, take himself out of winning a golf tournament. But I think a top 5 here is totally reasonable on the high end. And I think you can pretty comfortably expect a top 30 or better from Lovemark. He's a really talented golfer. He likes California, scrambles well. When he's scrambling well, he's not going to be dropping shots to the field, and he has the ability to score pretty quickly. He has plenty of length to get to these par 5s. So I like Lovemark this week. I'm not sure how much I'm going to own him, but I do have an outright on him. So.
Yeah, I'm so biased because I followed him for like 4 or 5 holes on Friday at the Northern
He'll break
Trust.
Your heart. He'll break your heart.
Like literally I was walking the course and like watching him, and I was just like, this guy might be the worst putter I've ever seen. Like he was just so bad putting that week. I mean, not that he ever really truly lights the world on fire in that regard, but like it was so bad. I'm like, I need to get out of my head with that and be like, all right, he's still a good golfer. Don't remember everything that you saw a few weeks ago. But I'm also a little bit on, I didn't think I was going to be, but I'm a little bit on Party Marty.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel good.
Yeah. To my point there, what if I told you I just absolutely hated Lovemark this week and just told you I was all in on Laird?
I wouldn't. I like Laird too. I like Laird better than Lovemark.
See, here's the thing, because you let it in. You let it in with this great love for Jamie Lovemark this week, and I was just ready to be like that dick that was just gonna be like, no. I was ready for the move. But
no, Lovemark's always gonna break your heart. I think he makes the cut and he has upside, but he's gonna break your heart every time you put him in a lineup.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it was like the fact that like he's not good on approach. And he has horrible, like he's 94th in bogey avoidance. That's like a big red flag for me. But at the same time, like Laird is just solid.
Yeah, I mean, if you pull up his scorecard on the PGA app, it's like a fucking rainbow. Like it's all over the place. There's no like 7 pars in a row for Lovemark. It's all up and down. So.
Yeah, at the same time, that's what makes him a good DraftKings play.
Oh, for 100%. Yeah, I love it. It's so tilting when it goes the wrong way. That's the problem.
Oh, yeah. Oh, when it goes bad, it goes way bad.
Oh, yeah.
Way bad.
Oh, definitely. All right, so I think we talked about those two quite extensively. What about Grillo? Emiliano Grillo or Grillo?
Interestingly enough, Grillo shows up as my number 1 in the model.
Oh man,
I know. I don't feel good about it, and so general question here: what do we think about the guys coming off of the President's Cup? Like the USA narrative is maybe he feels a little hungover, but what about Grillo coming in after a crushing loss and he didn't look great? I mean, what do we expect from him?
I think we just throw it out. I mean, I think we sort of talked about this like earlier in the season after the match play. And I honestly, like from a golfing perspective, just think it's such a different, like obviously you're in a team. There's all this other crap going on. Like I'm willing to ignore. Like, I mean, he was basically an auto loss. I don't even think he scored a point for his team the whole week last week. But then again, nobody on the internationals really did. But
yeah, I mean, there's only like 1.5 of them. So
right. So, but I think it's reasonable for you to just be like, I'm not going to pay attention to that. Like, it's a different situation. He's coming back to stroke play. He's going to a place he's won at before. He's only 2 years removed, right, from a win. So I have no problem with him. Obviously, he fits the course well because he's won here before. So yeah, I'm sort of President's Cup agnostic, I guess you could say. I'm just sort of ignoring what I saw. I don't want to get too high on anybody who I really liked because of it, and I don't want to get too low on anybody that I didn't really like because of it.
Yeah, I agree with you there.
But we gotta get to I think Jimmie, you want to talk about Ollie for a sec. You got any Ollie love this week?
I'm very conflicted on Ollie because I was on him when he finished second, and I had him all over my DraftKings lineups. I had a couple outrights on him. And I guess I just kind of have forgotten about him ever since he finished second. But I mean, we were so high on Ollie in like way better fields, and it feels like nobody's talking about him this week. Right. I haven't looked at FanShare. If you've got it up, maybe you can tell me if anybody's on him. But I think people are overreacting to Ollie for one reason or another to just not play him. But I mean, we were betting him at lower numbers and playing him in way worse situations. And I mean, he's arguably one of the best golfers in this field. So
yeah, I mean, he has one more start tag than Chesson Hadley. So that gives you an idea of what's going on.
Exactly.
Well, yeah, I guess that tells your point more than anything else.
Yeah. So just from a game theory point alone, I mean, we know Ollie is a really, really talented golfer who can hit an iron as far as some of these guys hit drivers. So, I mean, we're not going to have to worry about him reaching, and he's clutch. He's been there. He's been under the pump. He's been close to winning. I mean, this feels like an event that he could easily win. It's just nobody's talking about him because this game doesn't really quite set up for the course. But I think when you're talking about a weak field like this and a talented golfer in a relatively easy scoring tournament, I think Ollie should be probably more about than he is this week.
Yeah, that works for me. I'm on board. I needed to sort of be talked into him, so now I feel a little better about it.
Don't blame my ass when he misses the cut.
Oh, I'm adding you all day on Friday night when he misses the cut. Don't worry. Nice. But the good thing is that you can save $100 and just go to Kevin Tway. So it's fine. It doesn't even matter because Kevin Tway is going to outperform Lucas Glover again this week.
No.
This is like our running. This is like our running bet, me and Evan, every week.
Oh, my
I will bet you Kevin Tway wins a tournament before Lucas Glover wins.
100%. I'm fully on board with that.
Such cold takes.
They're not cold. They're statistically proven.
Evan,
I'll take my L when I see it.
When you turn 21, we'll get some Coors Light props like the Fantasy Labs boys. All right.
2 weeks.
Oh, it's nice. Lit. I'm coming to Philly. Let's go.
I'm actually going to go to Vegas for that.
All right. So I'm coming. So buy me another ticket. You have you got the DFS bankroll to stake me somewhere, right?
Yeah. Let me just win a Millie Maker.
Hey, if you hit the Millie Maker this week, you're taking me to Vegas. I think
if I hit the Millie Maker, it's
all right. It's a deal. If Tway beats Glover this week and you hit the Millie Maker, I'm coming to Vegas with you.
What are the odds on that? Can we get like Vegas odds on that? Like,
I don't know, but I'll put $1 parlay on it.
Oh man,
we are so far off the rails, and we're through like 8,200.
There's so much.
There's nobody else to talk about once you get to a certain point anyway, so it's fine. But
no.
All right.
I don't know.
So whatever. I'm mostly joking about Tway, but I do think that I will always throw him in a lineup because I love that man. So why not?
Plus, he has great hair.
Oh, the best. The best.
I've never actually seen that. Like
his hair.
You got to pull up his headshot. Oh, it's the best.
It's like Conan O'Brien. It's
I'm gonna tweet it out right now.
Hold on.
All right. What else we got, Ev? I know you don't like Tway. What else is new?
I don't know. It seems a little stereotypical for like the millennial.
No. Oh, coming from the uber millennial.
As a millennial. So I can respect it, but I think it's a little overrated.
Well, moving down to another millennial, what do we think about HV3 this week? Got a little bit of form, and he's done okay here, and he's said that he kind of likes this course. It fits him pretty well.
I think he's a solid GPP play. I'm sorry to interrupt, but I think he's a really strong GPP play.
I agree.
Because
I think he's going to get overlooked.
Yeah, because I think, he's really bad at avoiding bogeys, but everything else checks out. And if he could just get over that hump this week, I don't see why you can't play him.
And he's in a complete dead zone, right? So you have Ollie, Chesson Hadley and Luke List right around him. HV3 has one tag.
Yeah.
So far.
Oh, like no one's going to have it.
Everybody else is 6 or over. List is like, over 10. So you're talking about like no ownership at all. And there's absolutely no reason why a guy with his talent couldn't win that, like just outright win this tournament. I think top 10 is completely reasonable. He played well. I guess he kind of faltered, I think, at the Dell? He didn't play great. But he putted the lights out at Northern Trust, and he did pretty well there. So, yeah, I'm good with that.
And if he's got a morning tee time, that's a great first-round leader bet.
Yeah, for sure. And
your first-round leader.
Speaking of first-round leaders, we got right under the chalk. We got our boy Scott Brown. He's the first-round leader.
Yes.
First-round
leader
guy. He's the best.
Like the greatest first-round player in PGA history.
Scott Brown's a dark horse to win this tournament, man. He is fired up about his best buddy Kiz. Just kind of having a banner year, and Scott Brown's been pretty consistent. Scott Brown could do some things this week.
Yeah, I mean, in this range, he's the model that I put together. He's 15th out of the whole field, and everybody else around him is sort of like 30, 35 and up. So I got no problem with that. And if you're on whatever Bet DSI or 5 Dimes or whatever, if you're not putting him as first round leader every single week, you're definitely not doing it right.
Dude, I think Mayo's like paid for half his honeymoon on Scott Brown first round leader bets.
That's true. That dude probably is very rich because of that. But it's like he can win the first round, but he can't do anything after that.
Not unless he's paired with Kiz.
Yeah, exactly.
That's true. All right. Now that we have a premium first round leader bet talk, anyone else in that 8K range you want to talk about, or any other notes?
No, I mean Luke List is going to be the chalk. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
If you
want to transition, if you're transitioning to that 75 to 79K range, List is going to be mega chalk. And I think he just makes for a great fade. Honestly, I don't see him being, because if you're going to be that highly owned, I think you have to be top 5 to justify the ownership. And I don't see him.
I think there's a case to be made. There's a case to be made that he might be the highest DraftKings point scorer and still finish like 20th, just because of his. I mean, he's #1 in Eagles on the tour. So, but again, at that high ownership, I would be careful in investing your entire bankroll in him and maybe bet him as an outright or something, and hedge yourself that way. I don't know. I don't like Luke List chalk. Period. No, scares the hell out of me.
Never works.
No, it hasn't worked yet, and I'm not convinced that his game has really turned a corner where all of a sudden he's going to be, consistent enough for that. Like just looking through his game logs of just the putting just is unfreaking believable. Like, how do you lose like 6 strokes? Like, I don't get it. It's so bad, man. It's like. But I mean, at the same token, you have a guy like Hideki who might be like anyone that like has mini golfed before might be a better putter than him, and the guy still does well. So who knows? But I'm fully on board with the List fade. I'll have him in cash because obviously he's going to be so highly owned. I don't think it hurts you there. But I in a GPP with this field, I feel like you could hit on a couple of other guys down here. Speaking of which, my boy Flores is popping in all my models this week. So nice. I don't know how I'm going to actually click on his name, but
I think this is a good part of the show where we can just say, like, because I think we can all come into agreement where we just don't like List as much as the field at all.
Yeah.
So I think it's a good time for us to just share our pivot off of him. So yeah, Matt, continue with Martin.
Yeah,
Flores.
Flores, he came up top 10 in the Wyndham, and sort of, he struggled a bit. It was sort of a punchline besides the Puerto Rico Open all year. And then all of a sudden he, finishes the year with 3 top 20s out of his last 4 starts. He qualifies for the Northern Trust, plays decent, doesn't make it, to move forward in the FedEx Cup playoffs. But, he was playing well leading up to this. And I think, it's not the most attractive price for him, obviously. If he was 7,000, he would be like reasonably popular this week, but I like Flores quite a bit this week. Jimmie, is there anybody you're looking at down in this range, like the high-ish 7K range, to get off a list?
Yeah, well, I think first of all, you could pivot to almost anybody between 75 and 79 and probably feel okay about it in this field. The guys that I'm going to be going to, we talked about Brown. But the other guy that I really like, and I've heard several other people on him, but is Mackenzie Hughes. He shows up really highly in the stats that I'm looking at. He's gained 7.74 strokes over the last few years at this event, and he's not in like terrible form. I don't know a ton about Mackenzie Hughes, other than there's Chess and Hadley's favorite golfer to play with. That's like. I remember that from the Tour Junkies interview.
Yeah.
But other than that, he just kind of shows up in a couple of areas I'm looking at. I think it was Wiley was on Wiley 77 was on him too, but he just shows up well in the stats I'm looking at. So I'm going to take a little bit of a chance on him, and I'm sure he's not going to be owned. The other guy that I kind of like here is Scott Piercy. Mainly for the same reasons. He was injured towards the middle and end of last year, withdrew from a couple of events, and played generally awful for quite some time with his iron play. I can't remember what its injury was, but we've seen how talented a golfer that Scott Piercy is. Hanging right in there at the U.S. Open in 2015 with DJ. And then he was there and was the World Golf Championship right after that. He was right around there. Yep. So the guy can hang in talented fields, and I think whatever injury he has, he's over and is ready to kind of turn the page of last year and get on to a successful 2017. And I think this could be a good start for him. He does have a little bit of history here, so I'll just take it with a grain of salt. And again, nobody's going to be playing Scott Piercy, but he's plenty long enough. When his driver's on, he doesn't miss too many fairways, and he scores on par fives. So, I'll take a sprinkle of both of those guys and probably move on. There's a couple others you can play in here and probably feel okay about as well. If anybody's on Bryson, I'm team never Bryson.
No,
that's fair.
Yeah. No, Piercy was going to be my pivot. Piercy's my pivot because he is 7th right now in everything I'm looking at. And if you look at course history, he came 3rd here last season.
Yeah.
And when you look at those individual stats, because what I said, what I was looking at before, he dominated here in so many statistical categories. I mean, tee to green, dominated, approach around the green, putting. He just dominated all those, or strokes gained in all those stats. But yeah, he just dominated in the strokes gained category there. Just everything else, he just did so well. So I think the course conditions, and that's the thing too, I think he just does well in these course conditions, period. So I think this is like a long-lasting type deal instead of him just having a good tournament. So yeah, Piercy at 7,700 is probably going to be the guy I go to over list. Save the $200 and then hopefully spend that responsibly somewhere else.
Yeah, and then you have after that you got Seamus Power, and you could crack some natty daddies with Smiley and just call it a day, right? I mean, that's where I'm at. Seamus actually is number 1 in my my whole distance model that I put together.
Really?
Which is somewhat interesting to me, but
like
over the last 12 rounds that he played. So you're not talking about super, super recent because he hasn't played since the Wyndham. But I mean, if he fits, he fits. So for this price, I don't think he's really costing you that much.
Yeah.
No, I like the Seamus call. He's a good par 5 scorer as well. He's going to give himself plenty of chances this week, and if his putter shows up, then we could find himself on the front page of a leaderboard.
All right.
Wait, what about, before we move on, what about Graham Dillette at 7,500? I mean, there's maybe not a better ball striker in this tournament.
He is actually a very strong play. Outside of his putting issues, he is a very strong play.
Yeah. I don't know if I can do it, but it's hard to look at him at 7,500 and not think about it.
Yeah, unfortunately, like putting is so crucial here. Now, I know it's crucial every week, but
no, it is. These greens have so much undulation. You're 100% right. It's sketchy.
Yeah, like if you're multi-entering, I wouldn't mind having maybe 10 to 15% of them. And you'll definitely be overweight on the field in that. But I don't know. The putting is just such an issue.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess for the price, you can't really, for his pedigree or whatever you want to call it. I think for his price, I think that's fine. I mean, I don't know. He lost it so bad his last time out. I mean, he lost over 8 strokes on approach his last time out. So that's a little on the concerning side.
Well, I guess I don't have to worry about playing him anymore.
but the week, at the PGA, he gained 7 strokes on approach. He was just, I don't know. I think he was hurt, wasn't he, at the Dell? I think he was hurt for some reason, but I could be wrong.
He was definitely, there was something wrong with him. I mean, he came in 75th and just did awfully.
Wasn't that when he freaked out on the guys tweeting him about, whatever, not really giving a shit for the last 9 on his
right.
So
I think that was that event.
So I don't know. Maybe there was something going on there. I forget. That feels like literally a lifetime ago at this point. After this long off season, it's so hard to keep track.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's brutal.
But yeah, there was definitely something wrong with him because he had this great string of events from the Greenbrier to the PGA, and then he had the Dell.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, I think it's fine. I think once you get into this range, if you can narrow on to something that you like about somebody in this field, and they happen to do that particularly well this week, I think you're in good shape. So I think that's fine. Outside of that, I mean, besides Garrigus Goat, this gets I don't know. Are you going for the former champion narrative here, Jimmie, and going for some Sangmoon Bay?
Absolutely. How do you not play the guy coming off of military service and his first tournament back is the place he won last? It's there's not a better narrative.
There's a very strong narrative we had there.
So here's my thing on Sangmoon Bay. I think when I saw it on 5 Dimes, he was 200 to 1. So
that's egregious. You gotta match that.
Put you a $2 bet on that, and then don't worry about it. Just But I don't think there's any way that you don't have if you're multi-entering, he should be in one lineup, and if you have a bet DSI or 5 Dimes, you should put $1 on him at 200 to 1. It's
it's probably the best 200 to 1 that you'll put any money down on this year. So I think that's fine.
So that's my take on Sangmoon Bay. However, just generally speaking, I'm thrilled to see him back playing again, and I hope he gets his game back. I heard that he put on quite a bit of muscle. He's a lot stronger than he was.
When you're in the military, that tends to happen.
Yeah, it's shocking, right? So I heard he was struggling with his touch a little bit. So I mean, who knows? Who the hell knows how long that takes to come back? So
what country does he hail from?
South Korea.
South Korea.
Oh,
so I mean, things are great there right now.
Yeah,
too,
he's busy.
Nothing else on his mind, so he's fine.
Yeah.
I do have to say this is my glory play of the week, just because the name is just out of control and I love it so much. And this isn't just total name picking, because he did finish with 2 top 5s on the web.com tour. Bronson Burgoon he's going to be my brand play this year. I have a really good feeling about it. Not really, but
I mean, I don't hate it. overall, in a very short sample size, he seems to tread water. At least
treading water is exactly what I'm looking for out of my GPP plays.
I don't know. I'm see now you guys are getting all these ats, all the PGA birdies accounts.
That's
every Burgoon birdie. Oh, that's such a good hashtag too.
Burgoon birdie. Wow.
Oh my god.
That actually
oh my god.
Really well.
Oh.
Yeah, that works
Bronson's
really
birdies. It could go anyway. This is going to be great. I'm so excited for this week. It's awesome.
I don't know if you saw. There's a $7,300 golfer. All it says is T. Duncan. And I saw that. I was like,
where I had no idea that Tim Duncan was playing.
I was gonna say, I don't think he's in shape to do that at this point. But
I didn't even notice that.
I believe it's Tyler.
No, I just saw T. Duncan. And I was like, "Are you kidding me right now?" It's like
he's real? He's another one. He had a what was he 12th in the web.com championship. So you never know. Got to find one of these hot guys coming out of the web and getting a shot here. So
now, if you really want a hot name coming out of the web.com, Maverick McNeely.
All right, get it out.
We have to talk about him.
Do we?
He's worth the conversation. The guy
at the same price as my namesake, Matt Jones, you're gonna throw Maverick McNeely in my face. All right.
It's an unfortunate occurrence, but had to happen.
I get it.
But
so,
yeah.
How many people do we think are going to be playing Maverick McNeely? I mean, really.
I played him.
I think he could end up like a little higher on than we think. Not chalky, but you never know.
No,
I've heard a lot of people talk about him.
Yeah, I understand the ownership issues that might happen because there are some notable people talking about him. But I don't know. It's just so tempting to play the guy who pretty much competed tick for tack with Rahm for a while when they were coming up through the amateur ranks. So I think that's the logic of what a lot of people are saying is like, if this guy was able to compete with one of the up and coming golfers on the tour, I don't see a reason as to why he can't compete with.
Yeah, I guess.
I mean, that's just the logic that I would use here.
That's
and
fair.
Also, it gets you off a guy like Grayson Murray.
I had him highlighted. I was like, why the hell would I play Maverick McNeely when there's Grayson Murray right there?
Because we don't like Grayson Murray. Because we all took a unanimous oath as DFS players to say, all right, we're not going to play Grayson Murray.
I totally took the oath that I'm going to play whoever puts more money in my pocket.
Well,
Dude's a dick, but
the best part about going to the Northern Trust was seeing the the little name tag holder guy had they spelled his name wrong. They spelled Murray wrong.
How do you do that?
It was Murry. Me and my dad were hysterical. We're sitting there and we see him coming up and we're like, is that Grayson Murray? And we're looking and we're like, how did they miss it? Like, it's the easiest thing in the world to spell.
Obviously, it's not that easy.
It was unbelievable. It's like there's 120 guys here and you can't spell all their names right. Like, what the hell's going on?
I mean, you had to have had at least like a press form from the PGA or something.
Yeah, it was hysterical.
Maybe they just ran out of days.
Maybe.
That's absurd to me though, that you could misspell a name like Murray. I mean, it's fucking Murray.
How do you spell it though? How else do you spell Murray?
That's what I'm saying. I don't know how you mess that up.
Even if you phonetically break that down into just sounds, how do you
Murray?
It was.
I don't know.
It was interesting.
Well, let me take us back up real quick. There was a guy I wanted to talk about. So
go ahead.
7,300, Richie Wierzinski.
Who?
Exactly. Yeah. He finished 35th here last year, and like I said at the beginning of the show, golfers tend to do better the more they play at this course. They figure it out. They figure the undulating greens out the first year, and they tend to do better the second year. So my thought on Wierzinski is that he had a decent performance as a rookie off the web.com, and this year I suspect that his results are going to improve. He shows up in a couple of my models. Again, there's nothing, like saying screams, you should have tons of ownership, but I think he makes for a really good like GPP dart down there, and nobody's going to own if you're talking like less than 2%, 3% ownership. So for a guy that has some experience on the course, is talented enough to have showed up in a few golf tournaments last year in his rookie year, and where we see guys break out, and I think this is a spot where a guy like Wierzynski could show up and put up a top 10 or something like that. Not terribly confident in it, but one guy that I will be playing. So.
Yeah, I'm fully on board with that. I think he in the like distance model that I put together, he's 17th. And I mean in not like super limited starts, but reasonably limited starts this year. Yeah. He still made he played in the Northern Trust. He had a couple top 25s towards the end of the year. So I have no problem with that at all. That's a good call. We just sort of glazed over him before.
Well, he's sitting right there next to Summerhays, and I think people are going to play Summerhays before they would play, Wierzynski or any of those guys. So,
and he's also next to Burgoon, so we have to take that into consideration as well.
That's very
Burgoon,
true.
like you said, Burgoon's got what, like 7 start tags or something?
Yeah, it's wild. I think it's a name thing, but we'll see. All right, is there anybody under 7K? Worth even like thinking about?
I'm trying to find some kind of justification. I have a couple names I could kind of throw out there, just to see how you guys react. So the first one I'm gonna say is John Rollins.
I don't even know who that is.
There you go. Ultimate GPP play.
Probably.
Hasn't made a ton of starts. Here, I'll look at his logs. Yeah, his last tournament on the tour was the Barbasol.
Yeah.
I mean, he had three missed cuts. His last decent tournament was in 2015, the Sanderson Farms.
All right. Well,
he doesn't do well in, I don't know.
Anything? He's not good at golf, but other than that, he's a great guy.
Yeah. No. For whatever
he's an excellent
reason,
badminton player.
For whatever reason, he's just there. But he ranked. He's 13th right now, and what I'm looking at. That's kind of why I'm throwing his name out there. What about
18th in approach the last 12 rounds?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like he's sixth in the. I'm looking at the last 50. But in his last 50 rounds, he's 6th in approach, strokes gained.
I don't know, guys. I can't.
I mean, we're really going degenerate here, but
I mean, if I'm gonna go like super crazy low, I think people are talking about Matt Every, which is kind of gross, but I could. Why not? I could see it. I mean, for 6,700, he's not costing you anything, and he's better than guys that you never heard of.
I mean, he's costing you points.
I think he costs you dignity more than anything else.
That's also an issue.
You could also just go down to Taylor Gooch if you wanted.
The Gooch.
I'd rather. At that point, I'd rather just tell DK I forfeit the 6th spot on my roster. I'm just okay with 5 guys.
So I'm not going to play Matt Every, but I have heard people on him. Unless it's the API, Matt Every doesn't exist.
Yeah,
that's my theory on him.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to throw out one more of my names here before I get shat on again. Hunter Mahan.
No.
Why?
No.
Here's my question.
Because he works for Ace Hardware.
No.
That's fine. He's got skills.
He's second in
strokes gained tee to green. Second in strokes gained tee to green. 10th in strokes gained putting. 17th birdie or better. 10th in bogey avoidance, and 7th in GER.
He's so bad.
Percentage.
He's so bad.
This is not
a conversation that's happening right now.
I'm looking. No. I want to look back at his logs too. I want to look back at his logs and see.
He didn't even make his last cut at the web.com
He's finished
Tour
third here
Championship.
before.
Hold on. His last event was the Wyndham. Finished 16th.
Yeah, and he's missed the
Dominated
cut in
his
2
putting.
straight web.com events.
He is the most shaky guy you can look at because looking at his logs,
Gross.
he's extremely inconsistent.
So gross.
However, if you get him on the right week, and this may be the conditions to say, this is the right week for him, I think he's the greatest 0.5% owned play on this slate.
I can't.
I sound crazy, but
No, you make good points, and it's not crazy.
Don't encourage this, Jimmie. Damn it.
Well, listen, I can't argue with logic. I mean, they're all good points, and at one point he was a talented golfer. So, am I going to play him? No, but I'm not going to bash somebody for playing him because it's a well-reasoned argument. So,
and at that, I might have like 1 in 20 lineups.
Yeah, I get it. I personally won't do it, but I mean, you made good points, and you actually made me consider him. But there are some other guys that I will play down here, but Hunter Mahan's not going to be one of them.
Yeah,
that's fine by me. Those are all the guys that I kind of just want to throw out there in that bottom tier. No one else really stands out to me.
Gross.
So I've got like 4 or 5 guys that down here that I think are worth rostering. If you're playing 20 lineups, you could throw 1 in each. But there's first of all, at 7,000, Ben Martin, California. Not much more to say other than he's worth a flyer. John Curran. Anybody? John Curran.
I'm just trying to figure out who that is.
Exactly. He's the guy
that's this whole slate. It's name a guy.
Louisiana. He played well in Louisiana 2 years ago before they turned it into a team event. And this is a lot like that type of course where you need to be able to score and you need to be able to hit good approach shots. He hits good long irons and he's a decent putter. He's finished. Where'd he go? I just lost him. Oh, crap. There he is. So last year he finished 26th. In 2015, he missed the cut here. The problem with 2015 here was they had some weather. They had quite a bit of rain, and it was kind of sloppy for a couple of days. So he missed the cut in 2015. Well, in 2014, he was 8th here. So the guy clearly likes this course, and it's more of a course history play than anything else. But good long iron player and good putter. And he's a really short hitter, but you don't need to be long to compete here, as evidenced by Kevin Na. So I think he makes for a decent course history GPP play. Michael Kim at 6,900, that's egregious. He's a very well-rounded golfer that knows how to avoid bogeys, scrambles well. I think he would make a fine cash game, gutter play if you need it. Sun Kang at 6,900, egregious. Not sure what's going on there, but Sun Kang should not be 6,900 in this field. Steven Yeager at 6,900. The guy shot a 58 in rough conditions on the web.com. Obviously knows how to score, just got his tour card. So you can make an argument for him. There is another guy down here too. As a Derek Fathauer, 15th, miscut 12th at this course. Derek Fathauer is a great putter, and that's about it. He's got a mediocre iron game, mediocre tee to green game, but he seems to like this course. Same thing. He missed the cut in 2015 when things got sloppy, and it wasn't all about putting. It was a lot more about proximity. So I think that Derek Fathauer at 6,700 makes an interesting GPP play down here as well. Again, all these guys are like, if you're playing 20 lineups, stick each of them in one. So, but those are guys down there that I think deserve a little consideration or just, kind of mispriced like Kim and Kang.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm fully on board with those.
All right, is there anyone else here we're on or?
I'm out.
Yeah.
All right, I think
that's it.
Yeah, I think we've exhausted all of our mental resources to dig through some of these guys. Yeah, and that'll be it for us. This has been the bogey-free podcast for the Safeway Open. With your host, Evan Chaney. You can find me at eChaney17. Matt is at Matt Jones TFR. And Jimmie, I believe, is just DFS Jimmie. Am I correct?
That's it, man. Keep it simple.
Right. Awesome.
Thanks for having me on, guys. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, great having you on. And
first repeat guest.
Yeah. Nice.
Great karma. And make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. It is bogey free, and make sure to subscribe to the podcast, the Bogey Free Podcast on iTunes. And of course, if we're not winning all the money this week, we hope you guys do. So good luck in your contest this week.